We are 24 hours removed from Brad Treliving's departure. Will his body still be warm when they decide to announce a replacement?
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Flames. As always, I'm your host, Jess Belmosto, and I'm so happy to be here with you today. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit fanduel.com/lockedon today to get started. The Flames have said there is no rebuild in sight. Like, rebuild is just that word we don't mention. It's kind of like the black sheep of the family. You don't mention it, right? And is the next GM really the Band-Aid on the bullet hole, or are we actually going to fix this team? Who is going to replace Brad Treliving? There's some rumors going around, and we just have to talk about it because that's what we're here for. It is hard seeing Brad Treliving go, but make sure you're subscribed to Locked On Flames for free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube to get the latest episode as soon as it's available. Tomorrow, Nick will be hosting a solo show, and then we will reconvene on Thursday for our regular programming. So last night, I kind of waited for the reports and gossip to come in, right? Because someone is always going to have that inside information, and you cannot usually count on 32 Thoughts, the podcast, and the written version to kind of give you a better idea of what's going on. It's a deeper look into things, but please don't forget that things leak, quote unquote leak, for a reason. It is usually to make one side, there's an agenda being pushed usually when something is leaked, 9 times out of 10, but it's usually to make one side look worse than the other. But 32 Thoughts reported that Sutter and Treliving had been having communication problems for a while, and it was impossible for Tree to get his job done. And I think we kind of knew that. It was very clear that they were on separate pages philosophically, and there was no clearly defined line as to who was in charge this season. And we all felt like Sutter was calling the shots, and it kind of appears that was the case. And, Treliving couldn't do his job because Sutter was in ownership's back pocket, and he had to leave. Like, I don't blame him. I think you have to look at this from like a human aspect rather than just like a gossipy, oh, it's sports and a business. Like, have you ever worked in an environment where like a coworker or a boss is just so, like, I'm not saying this is what Darryl Sutter is, but so like just hard to work with because they don't do their job. Everyone's picking up their weight. No, they don't do anything. And it's frustrating. And maybe that person is just awful. Maybe they're just awful. They start problems, whatever the case may be. You're walking on eggshells at work, and it's not easy to do when you're, working an 8-hour day, like a regular 9 to 5. But when you have to be in constant communication with this person, it's going to be harder to do your job. And, sometimes people know what buttons to press in order to make your job harder and to make you more frustrated. It's more about them getting a reaction out of you. And I do wonder what their conversations looked like from the beginning of the season to the end. I'm very curious to see, when Brad Treliving decided that he wasn't re-signing, because, he had turned down multiple contract extensions throughout the season. And at one point, it looked like both sides really wanted to negotiate a contract and negotiate a deal, but it didn't happen because of Darryl Sutter's, with the team. And it was announced today that Doug Wilson is on his way back to being in really good health and being, ready to come back to the NHL. So you have to think that each of these stories is a little puzzle piece. And Darryl Sutter and Doug Wilson played together back in the 80s. So I'm very interested to see, if anything sparks there. I don't have a clear picture of what the Flames could do, because I think that this is just something that they haven't had to worry about, and I don't know if they know how to navigate it. What this vision looks like, because what it looks like to me might be entirely different from what ownership and the interim GM and head coach think. But again, I am just guessing here. But we are going to take a quick break here, and I'm going to tell you about our friends at FanDuel. Grand slams, no hitters, and double plays are back, and there's no better place to get in on MLB action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. That's because right now new customers can step up to the plate with a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, sign up, place your first bet, and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if you don't win. I placed a same game parlay tonight for the Rangers doubles game for a Zibanejad and Kreider goal anytime. So we will see how that works, and I'd love to hear what y'all are betting on. So don't miss a chance to get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 back when you join FanDuel today. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon to sign up. FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball. And thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at Jess Belmosto. And we're going to continue the week of Brad Treliving as the week rolls on, because I have a feeling we're going to maybe learn some more about what was going on. What was going on in Calgary? Well, they declared yesterday in their exit interview press conference thing that they're not rebuilding. They need to find a general manager that also believes in that, because it's not something that you can just change your mind on. I think, a lot of these guys have access to like data and, the more operation side of things than we do and can examine it differently. But they really need someone that is on the same page, but is also not a dinosaur in terms of how they view the game and in how they facilitate their role. I think that's a really big thing, because Brad Treliving was he still is, he's not dead. He's a very open person. He's a very warm, welcome you with open arms. Like, there's no like, yes, I saved the Flames franchise this summer, but you're still welcome at my house for Sunday dinner. Like, it's not, he wasn't too big for his own. He wasn't too big for his own pants. Is that the saying? I think so. Big for your britches? I don't know. But I think that the Flames just truly need to sit down. They need to look at what all the players said in their exit interviews. Look at Darryl Sutter still hasn't done an exit interview for this season, which is very odd considering the season ended a week ago. But I think you need to sit down, dissect their feedback, their comments versus, not even versus, but with the outcomes of the season. Look at like what the common denominator is, and maybe try to pluck that and and remove it from as many situations as you can. I think right now they just need someone to steer them forward and head towards another season of mediocrity, because there's not going to be a change behind the bench, more than likely. So they just need to find a general manager that is either bold enough to step up to Darryl Sutter and essentially ownership, someone that is analytically minded but can explain things in layman's terms so every 82-year-old in the office understands. And they need someone that can do their job. You want someone that has a strong scouting or strong relationship with scouts. You want someone that can draft. You want someone that can, negotiate, obviously. And you want someone that, on July 1st, that person is working the phones. He is working, it could be a woman. They're working the phones and saying, hey, like, we'd love to have Patrice Bergeron. I'd love to have Patrice Bergeron on this team. We'll offer him a 1-year, $5 million deal. I don't know. But, something like that. Like, you need to have someone working and taking risks and taking shots. And by risks, I don't mean like that James Neal free agency signing. We don't need that. I get it. Every general manager gets happy and just kind of like, they know July 1st is an overpayment, but like, we got to really think here. We have to use our noggins. And the other thing is just having that charisma. Brad Treliving was always so kind and so just not gentle, but like he talked. He wasn't just like, yeah, no, the game's over. We have to move on to the next one. I don't want to think about it. And things like that. He was able to elaborate and articulate his thoughts, concerns, and the moves he was making. So I don't doubt that he will find another role in hockey almost immediately. I think he's probably going to take some time for himself, but I'm also sure he's gotten phone calls already like, hey, when you're ready and you want to come talk with us, our job here's what's open if you're interested. I think he would be a fantastic addition to any team. And back to the Flames, like they have a lot of choices to make this summer. The choices that they make off the ice are going to reflect on the on ice product. And we saw that this year. We saw that Sutter just didn't have this room no matter when it was. I think at the beginning of the season it was a little easier because they're all trying to figure the chemistry out, and they're trying to navigate this new roster without their two elite players. How do you fix the goaltending? There needs to be that clearly drawn picture. Like, goals have to be set. And the thing about goals, they teach you this in public relations. Your goals need to be attainable. You're not going to sit down and write out Flames will win Stanley Cup within the next 5 years. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. I hope I'm wrong, but there's not enough talent on this team. You haven't even won enough to get into the playoffs with this team. Shouldn't say there's not enough talent. There's plenty of talent, but it's not the right combination of what they need to be a Stanley Cup contender. This team is so frustrating because you see this roster and you're like, this team should be second or even third in the division. They should not be chasing a wild card spot. They should not be the first team out. This roster is so much better. And I think the general manager, whoever it will be, needs to sit down and talk with the coach, who is presumed to still be Darryl Sutter at this time, and say, listen, last season did not work. You're welcome to keep trying your system, but know that you're gonna get the same results. And I think, players aren't gonna come out directly right now. They're still with the team and say, yeah, I'm having a really hard time with the coach. They very well could, but I don't get that vibe from anyone on the Flames. They need someone. They need a leader. They truly need a leader and a chain of command, because there has to be a level of respect in the front office. You should not be, a coach and going directly to ownership when you want something. You need to go to your general manager. It's like when you get a haircut and the haircut's terrible. do you immediately call like the district manager of Supercuts? No, you talk to the next person like in management, which is usually the general manager, right? You don't run straight to the top to get what you want, because that's not the adult and mature way to do things. So we're gonna just hope that this next general manager puts their foot down and says, I call my shots, you call yours, I tell you what to do, and you follow it. Unless you can give me a solid reason why Jacob Pelletier is scratched for 17 games or whatever. It was not 17 games. It felt like it. But why is this happening? I think, just the accountability, it's lacking. It was lacking across the board this season. So that's, one thing that I think this next general manager should pride themselves in, making sure that their team knows who they are and, of course, holding themselves accountable. But coming up next, we are going to wrap up the show with just some more Brad Treliving talk, because 9 years is a long time. But before we do that, I want to tell you about our friends at Athletic Greens. Our next partner has a product that I literally use every day. I started taking AG1 because nothing was helping my stomach problems in the morning, and I found an easy solution with AG1. It's 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. It's very simple to use. 1 scoop in a cup of water. And the best part is that it is less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health. And of course, it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. And you are investing in an all-in-one nutritional insurance, which I think is fantastic. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. And thank you, everyone, for sticking around, whether this is your first time or you're a loyal listener. Let's talk about Brad Treliving, because I think that everyone in an organization, whether it is sports, entertainment, normal people jobs, they leave something behind when they leave, right? They are remembered for something, whether that be calling out all the time on Saturday mornings when they were posting about going out on Friday nights, whether being the person that's picking up extra shifts to help people out, and or it's the kindness in their heart. They were bringing treats in for people. They always had something for someone's birthday or play appreciation. They were just a warm presence to be around. And I think that Brad Treliving really solidified himself as that. He was a kind person that did not see himself as some larger than life figure. He was general manager of a hockey team, and obviously he took the job very seriously. And if he didn't take it seriously, he would have signed an extension. He absolutely would have, because he would have said, you know what, I'm just gonna suck it up and make his life miserable and do what I need to do. But he takes it too seriously, and he knew his heart, just like, I don't want to say his heart wasn't in it, but there was just a shift in priorities, and that is okay. If you strip away the business side of things, it is so clear that people felt appreciated by Treliving, whether it be him getting tickets for a new beat writer's parents who are coming into town, or stopping at a park to talk to people because he's seen. People appreciate a good culture in the work environment. And I think that was something, again, Brad Treliving, and not enforced, but encouraged and really fostered. It's not an easy job. It's not an easy job environment. So for him to still like be, a successful general manager and remain kind, calm, and level-headed, I think is fantastic because, obviously it's a lot different when it's like an elimination game and you are throwing water bottles in the press box. But I think it's important to remember that everyone is a human being. We all have human being reactions, whether the immediate reaction is, thank God he's gone, or, oh my God, I can't believe he's been fired, or, oh my God, this person has been traded. This person's also been fired. Could they come to Calgary? Like, it is so easy to just get wrapped up in the entertainment factor of this sport. And I think that Brad Treliving was someone that worked really hard to keep this organization afloat. Not necessarily afloat, but roster-wise, keep it afloat. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. He wasn't able to get a team to the playoffs consecutive years, and that's hard. That is hard. It's not like he was just general manager for like 5 years. It was 9 years, and there was never consecutive years of the playoffs. That's brutal. That's tough. And that can be tough on anyone's mental health and just kind of how they approach things. But on paper, this team looks like a cup contending team, right? I mean, I would say so. I had them pegged for like second or first in the division at the start of the season because of how deep the roster was, the level of talent acquired. It helped ease the burden of what the Flames were missing. But at the same time, I do think, you have to wonder, why couldn't this team get to the playoffs? Like, are you kidding me? Look at who's on the team. You have one of the best playmakers, and then you have Nazem Kadri, and you have just a good, strong roster. So just because they look like a contending team on paper does not mean anything. And that's why I'm kind of glad the Flames missed the playoffs, because they would have just gotten their butts handed to them. And I don't want to sit here and dissect them stinking any more than they already do. But thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, free 99, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Audible, Odyssey, you name it, we're here for you. And like I said, tomorrow Nick is going to be hosting a show in the afternoon, and I will see you on Thursday. Have a great evening and go Flames.